Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of the 2022 E3 Scores Women Conference virtual interviews, giving you a sneak peek at what to expect at this year's conference. I'm just one of your hosts, Zack Wilson, joined by none other than the woman who does everything, Mackenzie Scherer. Mackenzie, how are we doing today?
Doing wonderful, Zack. How are you today?
Ooh, I'm more caffeine than man. So check this out. I'm sleeping like a baby. 3 a.m. rolls around and I get woken up by the most persistent cricket imaginable. And so when I go outside to, I give it about an hour to kind of have a conversation with its cricket brethren. And when it's not stopping, I go outside to take matters in my own hands. And when I get out there, gone. So I'm thinking, all right, out of the clear. I lose an hour of sleep, worst case scenario. Go back inside. Minute I rest my head on the pillow, it's at it again, singing, I don't know, Freya Elise.
You know, that's better than having a nice little kitty cat paw get shoved up your nose at 3 a.m. I would take the cricket over the cat.
At least that's cute, though.
It's true. It's true.
Well, being more caffeine than man aside, today we are joined by the woman that you actually all came here to see. She's the founder of the Empowerment Tour Coaching and Consulting Group. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. She's also a belonging strategist and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the one, the only, Montrece Ransom. Montrece, how are we doing today?
I am doing amazing. So excited to be here talking with you about the E3 event that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. Super excited.
And I was getting ready today, and it occurred to me, wow, we're really just about 2 weeks away from 2022 E3 Score Women's Conference. That's crazy.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, Montrece, we're just going to ask you a couple questions just to get people a little bit excited about your keynote speech. But before we do that, would you like to introduce yourself and give the folks at home just a little bit of an insight of who you are?
Sure, I'd love to. As mentioned, my name is Montrece McNeill Ransom, and I am a belonging strategist. I'm an executive leadership coach, and I'm DEI certified. And my work really centers on reminding people that anywhere they are called or aspire to be, they absolutely belong. I work with individuals in my coaching practice to help them build paths to get to where they want to go. And I work with leaders and organizations to help them truly cultivate cultures of belonging, where we can show up as our most authentic self and contribute to the mission of the organization or the business. And my goal really is to help increase human potential, to unleash human potential through the power of belonging.
That's so incredible, Montrece. And so where did the name Empowerment Tour kind of come about?
Well, there's a little bit of a story there. I remember being on the airplane with a colleague of mine, and I was talking about a call that I was going to have, and this was before the coaching and consulting practice was started. And she said to me, "You can't empower everyone." And I remember thinking, but I can try. And so the Empowerment Tour, that name is really a combination of what I do as a coach, which is help to teach people how to empower themselves. But I also serve as a mentor and try to guide people and provide perspective and remind them that it really is about believing in themselves and the power of overcoming limiting beliefs to get to where it is they want to go.
Oh, that's awesome, Montrece. Well, I want to kick us off with our 2 questions. We're going to do one fun one and one professional, which is for those of you who haven't joined us for the E3 Women's Conference in previous years, that's kind of how we do things. We obviously have the professional side of it, the networking side where you get to meet encouraging and empowering people, as well as attend awesome and very insightful conversation and seminars. But we also like to keep it fun as well. So, Mac, what's our first question?
So our first question is the fun one, of course, since we're going to kick it off lighthearted. It is, what movie have you seen the most times?
Not the favorite movie. What have I seen the most times?
Yep.
I think that might be Love Jones with Nia Long. I might be aging myself. It's an old love story about these folks living in Chicago, and there's spoken word in it, and there's a little bit of intrigue and romance, and sort of a coming of age story for me when it first came out. So if you haven't seen Love Jones, starring Nia Long and Lorenz Tate, you need to check it out. It's a bit of a cult classic, but absolutely check it out.
Sadly,
I'll have to add that to my list.
I was about to say, sadly, I have not seen it, though. Don't feel
Gotta
bad.
check it out.
Well, I mean, I'm the baby of the E3 Women's Conference group, so I'll have to put it on my watch list. But for myself, see, so you pointed out not the movie that is our favorite, but the one that we've seen the most of.
Although Love Jones might be my favorite. That might be certainly among my favorites.
Well, it definitely sounds good enough to constitute being your favorite. For me, it would either be my favorite movie, Spirited Away. It's a Hayao Miyazaki film, also a Studio Ghibli film, or one that probably a lot more people know, Mean Girls, All Day, Every Day.
That's a good one. I'm the cool mom, so yes.
I can tell.
That is fantastic. I love the Mean Girls. Mine, Disney, all the way. Hercules, classic kids movie. Like, love it, love it, love it.
I have questions about why that's the most watched one for you, though, Mac. But
okay, so I will explain this actually. So for me, my happy place is Disney movies. So like you just go on the couch, get you some like hot cocoa, nice snuggly blanket, kitty cat, and just that's a chill place. Because I mean, Disney movies, you don't have to think super hard. There's some type of, laughter, intrigue, and it's just a very relaxing movie.
Also the fact that Disney's Hercules has one of the best soundtracks of any Disney movie is one of my countless hills to die on.
Like, it's fantastic. How can you go wrong with that?
Oh, Zero to Hero is a certified classic every day of the week.
Well, Love Jones has a good soundtrack too. I can't tell you any of the songs on it, but I know it's got some good ones.
I'll have to check it out. All right, Mac, let's hit us with our more professional one.
Ooh, all right. So our more professional one is, what career mistake has given you the biggest lesson?
So, I as a coach, I try to lean into this idea that I have no regrets, that even things that might be seen as a mistake are meant to be lessons for me, that nothing is happening to me, it's all happening for me. And so in thinking about, this question around a career mistake, and the lesson that I learned from it, I think the biggest career maybe mistake was I chose a career right out of law school. As someone trained in law with no scientific background, I chose a career at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And I spent 20 years as someone trained in law, not assigned to the Office of General Counsel in a scientific agency. And there were days when I woke up wondering what the heck I was doing there. I couldn't even spell public health my first few years. But what that taught me was that sometimes it's okay to be in a space where you don't immediately feel that sense of belonging, to recognize that your skills and your unique traits do have something to add to that table. That me, as someone who was trained in law, but not assigned to the Office of General Counsel, that I had to offer, that I belonged there. The lesson for me was to bloom where I was planted, and to learn how to find my allies, my people, who maybe folks who didn't necessarily look like me or didn't necessarily study what I studied, but who had a similar mission or similar interests or similar personality, and finding my people, my sense of belonging through human connection. Again, blooming where I was planted. And what that's really done for me now is it's given me a foundation through which I can talk about the science of belonging and the art of belonging in increasing human potential. I can talk about the statistics. I can talk about the impact of belonging on health disparities. I can talk about the impact of belonging on inequities and entrepreneurship. And all of that comes from having worked with those scientists. So maybe not necessarily a career mistake, but certainly a career path that wasn't necessarily one that I'd identified and didn't necessarily align with who I thought I was, but gave me space to grow and I wouldn't be where I am today, but for that 20 years of experiences working at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And so
And
that
that's
for me was evidence that anywhere you're called to or aspire to be, you belong, for sure.
And that's an amazing lesson, because I think, especially with female entrepreneurs, a lot of them struggle with, the crisis of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And that's something we've had keynotes speak on in the past, and it's been a very popular topic. So I love that imagery of growing where you were planted.
Yes, yes. And find your people. That's what belonging is all about. It's about human connection. And you can't reach full self-esteem and full self-actualization without that strong sense of belonging. And so I hope to talk to the folks at the E3 SCORE event about the phenomenon of belonging and the power of it, and how we as women entrepreneurs are responsible for cultivating cultures of belonging ourselves. We have to do that. We can't wait around for folks to do it for us.
And it's kind of like a perfect segue. Can you tell the folks watching at home what they can expect to look forward to during your keynote?
My goal is to remind the women in the audience that as entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, that anything, anywhere they're called or aspire to be, they belong. That's my mantra. My goal is to remind the men in the audience and the allies in the audience that we need allies in this work, that to really think about how important it is to ground our sense of identity as entrepreneurs first, to ourselves as entrepreneurs first, because the world of entrepreneurship is not going to always open the door up for women. We've seen the structural and systemic issues that cause women to feel that they don't belong. And my job, my goal, and my time on that stage is to remind them as individuals that belonging is a two-way street, that they've got to ground themselves in their identity as entrepreneurs. And I hope to motivate them to do that.
I love it. So, and I know that you do too. So I know what you're thinking. Zach, Mac, Montrece, how can I get involved and be a part of this year's E3 Scores Women Conference? Well, all you have to do is go to e3score.org to register for your tickets today and find out all of the great stuff that we have going on at this year's conference. Stuff like educational breakout sessions, keynote speakers, exhibitor booths, networking, and everybody's favorite part, happy hour and reception. You can also follow us on social media to be the first to hear about all the upcoming events and dates that we've got planned for future conferences. And so, Montrece, before we sign off, is there anything you would like to plug for those watching at home? Any sage-like advice? Anything you'd like to leave us on?
I would like to remind the audience that one definition of belonging is to be in the right and suitable place and to know it. And I want you to know that all of the folks at SCORE have worked hard to create an event where you belong. If you feel called to this space, whether you've started a business or are just thinking about starting a business, trying to find yourself in this entrepreneurial world, just know you belong here. You belong at the E3 event, and I certainly hope to see you there.
Could not think of a better way to sign off. Montrece, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As always, I'm Zach, that's Mac, and this is Montrece. Always remember that life's better when you have friends to share it with, and we'll see you next time.